Welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, you will learn how to make a responsive header with a good background and foreground for mobile phone. And you are going to build a very sleek header by the time you get to the end of this lesson. The first thing we are going to talk about is Doctype. Doctype is an HTML tag that tells the browser that we are writing HTML5. Doctype is also a childless HTML because it doesn't have a closing tag and it cannot have children. Can you see? You will see that it has no closing tag and it only has an opening tag. It is time to tell you about HTML tag. HTML tag is just like you are telling the browser that you are creating a document that you are going to be working with. Every website, including Google and Facebook, starts with the HTML tag. HTML tag is a parent tag because it has both open and closing tags. HTML tag also always has both head and body tags as its children because any website structure is subdivided into head and body. The head is the part of the web page that will instruct the browser on what to do and how to do them, while the body is where the content of your website will be displayed. So anything you write in the body tag will be displayed to the users. The head tag contains other tags that instruct the browser on what to do and how to do it. For instance, the title tag is used to make the title we see in the tab of our browser. As you can see here, can you see the tab has been updated? You see? So many others can be included in the head tag. But for now, we are focusing on the tags that are important to what we are making currently. That is to say, we will talk about them later in this lesson. The body tag, unlike the head tag that instructs the browser on what to do and how to do it. Whatever written in the body tag is visible to the browser. Hello my pa, it is time to do the real work and we are starting with the header tag. The header tag is going to be included in the body tag. Also, the header tag is a semantic tag because it suggests what it does. It is used to create a header section for our web page. We are wrapping the content of the header tag in a div tag. So let's write div tag. But what is div tag? Div tag is a non-semantic HTML tag that is used to create divisions or sections on our web pages. It is mostly used as a container to contain other elements as a section of a web page. But before we continue, what is HTML attribute? Attributes are written between the less and greater than symbols after the name of the tag, usually with a space between one another. An attribute is always paired with a value or values. In this case, we use the class attribute and set its value to hero. But what is a class attribute? The class attribute is an attribute many people or tags can possess. For example, I have hero attributes and you can become a hero just like me. Just like how many HTML tags can have the same class value. Also, class attributes can have multiple values because one tag can belong to many classes. So, in this case, this tag have both hero and row as its class attributes. You can see it now, you see? But let's remove this row from here because we only need hero as its value for now. And we will put all header content of our page in this div tag. And we need a span tag inside it. But the question is, what is a span tag and how do we use it in HTML. Span tag is used to group elements that are meant to be displayed in line. Unlike block elements, like the div tag, span tag stays on the same line with other elements. Just like any block element, all block elements always move to another line when used with other elements, while inline tags stay on the same line with other elements when they are used along with other elements. In this span tag, I write Ayobami Ogudina as the text node of this span tag. The text I write in it is known as text node, right? But the thing is, I don't like how thin this name is. It is too thin for my liking. So I want to make it a bit bolder. What I'm going to do is I am going to wrap it inside a B tag, which means bold. So by wrapping it inside this B tag, automatically it will become bolder. Can you see it? Yeah, it has changed. So I have done that. The next thing I want to talk about is nav tag. Nav tag is a semantic HTML tag that is used to create the web page section where we can find buttons or icons that can take us from one page to another, just like you can move from profile to home on Facebook. I hope you get that. Nav is what we use in HTML5 for navigation, that is, taking us from one page to another. Like when you click profile on Facebook, it will take you to profile. When you click home on Facebook, it will take you to home. That is what we use to achieve it. So to achieve this, we are dividing the nav tag into two sections with two div tags. The first div tag has mobile menu as the value of its class attribute. As you can see it here, we have set its class attribute to mobile menu because it is going to be displayed to mobile screens. And an italic tag, this I tag, and the I tag with menu as the text node of the div tag. You can see it here. Okay, you get that? The div tag will only be displayed on mobile phones, as I have said before. The I tag is used to display text with special mode or context. That is to say, it is used to italize text, display foreign language or technical terms. It is also widely used to display icons, and I will show you how to do that in this course, but in another lesson. Just stay connected. I will show you everything. So don't panic. I will show you everything. The second div tag has menu as the value of its class attribute, and we write 5 anchor tags as its children. For your information, an anchor tag is used to link one page to another. Anytime you want to link a page to another page, you use anchor tag. But don't be confused. When I say nav is like a section where you can see icons and buttons that can take you from one page to another, nav tag is just a wrapper for things like anchor tags that can take you from one place to another. So we use the nav tag to create a navigation section, and anchor tag is the major thing that take you from one page to another. Anchor tag has href attribute that takes a link or path to another page as its value. For instance, if we put www.google.com as its value here and set its text node to go to Google, anytime we click go to Google, it will take us to google.com. But we don't need that for now. We only need to add text to the anchor tags. The next thing we have to make sure of is that the anchor tags we have written have a proper text node that describe our pages. The first one is blog. The second one here is talks. This one is workshop. this one is podcast, and the last one, which is this one, is about. So we have changed their text node to this value. You see them? So it has been updated. You can see, wow, yeah, we are getting there. We are getting there. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to use a div tag. And why are we going to use that? It's because we want something to describe this page, and we want to put that thing or wrap that thing in a div tag. The value of the class attribute of this div tag is row. So we are just using it to wrap the text node or the description of our page and a picture we are using inside it. Be informed, just wait, be informed that it is always good for accessibility to use semantic tags like header, section, nav, and others. But our focus here now is to go from a beginner to a professional. That is to say, we will attend to that later in this course. That is to say, we don't focus on accessibility right now. We are making sure we get these things and we understand them. But later in this course, we will get to know about accessibilities and some other important things. But this is for beginner, and right, you have to move from a beginner to a professional. So it is step by step. Don't be in a hurry, we will get there. We have two tags inside this div tag, right? The first is h2 tag, and it has colon as its class attribute. Okay, we are going to write something inside this h2 tag, and that will be the description of this page. So this is what I'm writing inside it. I am Ogunira Ayobami, and I go to any extent to make great things happen. So I have written that inside it. The value of its class attribute. That means it belongs to two classes, colon and image wrapper. Inside it, we are going to include image tag, which is used to include an image in a web page. So we are using this img tag to include an image to this web page. This img tag has src attribute that makes it possible for us to get an image to be displayed on our page. So by putting the path as the value of src attribute of this img tag, we will get the image to display on our website. And in this case, I set the attribute to me.png. So you can see, so I have done that. The next attribute we can also use here is a hot attribute. Hot attribute is always used for accessibility, so that if the image is not found, we can use a text, or we can display a text to our user or a screen reader so that it will not be blank. So in this hot attribute, I'm going to put my name, Ayobami. Voila! Now the image is displayed and we are done with the HTML part of this lesson. Hooray! Wait, this is not what you showed me the other time. Yes, it is not. Let's apply CSS to achieve our final result. In this case, we use style tag to apply CSS to the HTML page we have created. So we are going to write all the CSS tags that are going to be useful on this page, or that we will use to style this page inside this style tag. Why am I doing that? I know there are some other ways to do that, like you can embed CSS, but for now you have to learn how to do this one too. There might be a reason to do it. So for now we are using this, and you will learn another way later in this course. Just stick to this and make sure you understand this first. The asterisk I write here means that I am selecting or interacting with all tags on the page, and anything I write in these two curly braces will affect all elements on this page. You get that? So anytime you use asterisk, you are referring to all elements on the page. Any property you write between the two curly braces, then you are interacting with all the elements on the page. Let's interact with them. The first property we are using is padding. Padding is a property, and padding has a value, right? We set that to 0. And margin is also a property. we set it to 0 too, so that there won't be any margin and any padding from the start. Hey, stop there. What is margin and what is padding? Okay, I will show you. It is time to show you what they are and their difference. Look at this box. The distance between the box and this box, which is outside of it, is called margin. Let me tell you again. The distance between the box here, this one, and the distance outside of it to this one here is called margin. That is margin. From here to here is called margin left. From here to here is called margin top. From here to here is called margin right, and from here to here is called margin bottom. That means margin can be to the left, to the right, to the top, and to the bottom. So that is margin. While padding has to do with another element, the distance between the main element and the element and another element that is inside of it. From here to here is padding left. From here to here is padding top. From here to here is padding right, and from here to here is padding bottom. In this case, we need to select another HTML tag now. And I have told you about selector before, and the first one we've used above is called asterisk, right? The next thing we are going to use is tag selector. In CSS, anytime you select a tag with its name in order to interact with it, anytime you select an HTML tag with its name in CSS, using tag name in that case is known as tag selector. So we write the body to select the body tag in this case. Then let us set its property. The first property we are setting is color. Color has to do with the text. Anytime you write color as a property, you want to interact with the text in that particular element. In this case, we want to interact with the text in body. It can be text inside of the child of the body. So that means that all of them will inherit the property of the body. So I will explain inheritance, specificity, and cascading later. But for now, stick to this. And let's set the value of this color to white so that all the text we have on this page will be white. Font family here is used to select the kind of font family you want. There are so many fonts out there. So you can use font family to determine the one you want. Here we are using Roboto and Sans Serif. Those are the ones we are using. I hope you get that. So that is the family you want. You will see that the font has changed. The look has changed. That is it. Header is also used to select the header tag. That means we are also using header tag again as a selector, which is tag selector, right? We set its display property to flex to make it responsive, to be mobile friendly. When you set value of display property to flex, you want to make it responsive or scalable. You get that? So that it will be mobile friendly. And we set its width to 100%. So there's one thing you should know about width. In HTML, when you set width, right, the size of margin, padding, and border will be added to it, right? And if you want the width of your page to be 100, right, 100 pixels for instance, and you have set the padding of that page or of that element to like 30, the margin to maybe 20, and border to maybe 10, that means by the time everything is calculated, you are going to have probably 160 pixels. So it is bigger than the expected width. In that case, if you actually want 100 pixels as your width, you need to subtract the total number of margin, padding, and border together. You add them together and subtract them from width size. In this case, when we have 30 plus 20 plus 10, that is 60. Then subtract it from 100, that will give us 40. Then we will add 40 as the width of the element in order to have 100 as total. So we now have 100 pixel as the total, right? That is what we want. So you can do it anyhow you want it. There is no stable way to do something. This is about design, right? You can do it any way you want it, but I'm just telling you how it works and how it is in CSS. So that is just it. And we will still deal with this later in this course. Okay, another thing is width. What is width? Width is the width size of an element. The distance from here to here in a browser is known as width, right? This is the width of the element from here to here. You can see that. So let us move on to another thing. We are going to set background color of this to we are setting it to #3155DC. So what is the meaning of that? Before I go to that, let's talk about background color. You can see background color suggests what it means. Background color, that is, you can use it to set background color of an element. So in this case, by setting its value to #3155DC, we set it to something related to blue. And we also have background image. That also suggests what it is, right? Because background image, it means an image for our background, right? So that is what we are going to do. We are going to add background image to this header, right? It is possible to set multiple images as background, and that is what we are going to do here, and you see how it is done. To do this, we will use URL function in CSS, and we will set its path to /blob-shape3.svg. So that is it. What we'll do is we'll set the path to this. You can see what I set it to, and this one is just for the first image. This will be the first image background, right? And the second one, we use the URL again and we'll put this as the path to the image, we are using. So in this case, we are using blob-shape4.svg. That's what we are using, and that is the path to our second image. So when you are dealing with this, don't forget to separate them with a comma. There should be a comma between them, just for a reminder. We also want to add linear gradient. But before I talk about linear gradient, there is something I want you to know. When I showed you the result in the introduction, you see some curves on the screen, and you might have felt like, wow, how will I do this? How am I going to create this? No, these images I just added to this header, or I just used as background image here. These things stand for those things. So you can see them on the screen now. We have them already here. So they are images. They are images you create, and when you create them, you can then add them to your web pages, as we have done here. And I will show you how I created them, because you might feel like, how am I going to create them? I will show you how to create them. So I'll show you everything. Don't panic. I'll show you everything. And you see the other image we use in this HTML too. You can see it's a picture of me, right? But we have removed the background of it. Okay, you may want to ask me, did I use Photoshop or some other tool? No, I didn't use Photoshop. I used something that is online and is very easy to use. I'll show you how to do everything. Don't panic. You are in control. So don't panic. I'll show you everything. So let's continue. Let's set the linear gradient of this head. We are going to set it. The first thing is direction. When you are setting linear gradient, the first thing is direction, right? And we are setting the direction of this to -213 degree. The direction to -213 degree. But don't get it wrong. We can have so many directions. We can have to top left, to top bottom, to left bottom, to things like that. We can have things like that. So You just have to figure out how to do those things out. And for now, we are just going to use minus 213 degree as the direction, right? So, and we set the color. After the direction, you have a color and a stopping point. The stopping point is optional. So when I say stopping point, the point at which the color you write first will stop. That is the stopping point for the color we have written, this one. And the color we use here is represented with hexadecimal code #5E31DC, and its stopping point is 0%. Its stopping point is 0%. And another color we are using here is #3155DC, and its stopping point is 100%. Wow! You see the page? You may not see the effect very well, but if you look deeply, you see that there is a kind of blend on the page. There is a blend on the page, and it looks a bit attractive. That is what this one is. That is what this thing does. It blends colors together so that it will look attractive, look more beautiful. So that is how to do that. Let's continue. Oh, that is not what we are expecting as our final result, right? Because those images are not properly aligned. They are repeated. That is not what you want. In the introduction, nothing is repeated, right? So we have to make sure they are not repeated. And we have to make sure they are properly arranged to where we want them. So to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to use another property known as background position. And we will set its value to center right, center right. We separate them with we now put comma, then we'll set its value, we set its background position to center right minus 400 pixel minus 100 pixel, like this, as you can see on the screen. So by the time you save this, you see it has changed. They have been repositioned, right? But there is another thing, they are repeated. That is not what we want. We don't want them to be repeated. So what can we do to solve that? We are going to use another background property, which is known as background repeat. We set the value of the background repeat to no repeat. Once we do that, yeah, we are on top of the world. You see, nothing is repeated again. That is okay, and that is what we are expecting. So we are getting there. Okay, let's put the content of the header tag to the center by setting the value of the header justify content to center. We write justify content and we put center. That means we want all its content to be positioned at the center. That is what we want, and we have done that. To move its child, we set its padding top to 40 pixels so that all its children will move a bit away from it. So to make it a bit beautiful, can you see that? Can you see it? They have moved downward a bit. So that is padding I have explained. Okay, let's move the nav tag to the right side so that the name of the page and its navigation will be on different side. One will be at the right and the other one will be at the left side. So what we are doing is we are using a tag selector again to select the nav element. Then we set its float property to right. That means we float it to the right so that it will move to the right. Because I like to cater for mobile first, because sometimes I may just want to do something fast and I may not have time to optimize for desktop, and I am always comfortable because with that mobile can work on desktop and it will still be a bit useful. But the reverse is not always good because it's hard to use desktop version on your phone. So that's why I always go for mobile first. So I always start with mobile design, then optimize it for desktop. There are other ways to do that too, but it's a matter of your choice and what is comfortable for you. So let's continue. It is time to use class selector. How do we use class selector? A class selector always starts with a dot, then the class value, the value of that class, then you will use it with it. In this case, the tag that has menu as its class, you will just use dot menu as we have it here. So we just do dot menu And what are we going to do with this is that we will set its display property to none. Display none, like this, display none. So it will not display it. That is it. We are using another class selector. We use dot row, and we set its display property to flex to make it scalable and mobile friendly. And we set its flex direction to colon reverse. Why do we have to do that? You can see on the screen here, the text is at the top and the image is at the bottom. What we want is we want the image to be at the top. So the best way to do that is to set the flex direction of this element to colon reverse. By the time you put colon reverse, the text will be switched to the bottom and the image will be switched to the top. Wow, we have done that. So the next thing we have to do is just to justify the content. Justify the content to the center. So that is what we are doing. And that is straightforward, just like how you do in Word, justify content, like justify content in Word. So in this case, we are justifying it to the center. But that's what we have here. We are getting there small. Okay, we will still get there. Let's continue. Okay, this image is too big, right? We have to clip it because this is not what I want and this is not what I showed you, right? So we have to clip it. We select the wrapper of the image and set its width to 330 pixel. 330 pixel. How do we select it? You know, it has an attribute image wrapper, and that is a class attribute. Then if you want to select it, we just put dot image hyphen wrapper, right? We have selected it, and we set its width property to 30 pixel as we have it here, and its height to 360 pixel. This image is too big, right? We select the wrapper of the image and set its width to 330 pixel, 330 pixel, and its height to 360 pixel, and its overflow property to hidden. Why do we need to use overflow hidden? Okay, that means that if the image or the content of this current HTML is bigger than the element itself, the part that is bigger should not be displayed. That is it. And the image we have here is bigger than the size of this element, and we don't want that part to be displayed. We will cut it away. It will be clipped. So that is a trick to clip images in CSS. You get that? Okay, let's continue. We have hidden the parts we don't want, right? And the thing I want now is to turn the image to a circle for some reasons. You may not like to do that, but for me, I just like it to do it, and in order to teach you another thing. So we will set the border radius of this tag to 50%. When you say border radius refers to the curved edges you see in an element. Let's say you have a box like a rectangle or a square, and it has 4 edges. When the edges they are a bit curved, the curve you have there is what is known as border radius. We make it 50% so that it will become a circle. So that's what we want here. Okay, we have done that, and the edges of the box, we have turned everything into a circle eventually. Okay, for the image to display properly, there is something we have to do. You see the image is not properly displayed, so there is something we still have to do. What is that? We will use element selector to select the image tag. Although there are some other ways to do it, there are better ways to do that. You will still learn everything, and you want to learn it, so you have to know how to do this one too. Then you will learn how to do that later. Let's just continue. So we select the tag, and what we do is we set its width to 100%. Anytime you set something to 100%, you set it to have the same size of its parent. That is 100% of its parent. So anytime you use percentage to set width or things like that, you are referring to like 100% of its parents. That means it should be 100% of its parents or container. That's what that means. And with that, we are able to achieve something. So you can see we are getting there. It is time to use a descendant selector. What is a descendant selector? You use a descendant selector when you combine two CSS selector without a comma between them. So anytime you do that, you are using a descendant selector. So in this case, we do dot hero, which is a class attribute, right? And we put h2 after it without any comma, with just a space, right? So that means we are only interacting with h2. But the thing is, h2 is inside hero. That is what this one is telling us. So it means we want to interact with h2 that is inside hero. That's what we are doing here. In this case, we use max width. When you say max width, what do you mean? Maximum width, that is the upper limit, right? The upper limit of its width, right? And in this case, we set it to 300 pixels. That means the width cannot be bigger than 300 pixels, but it can be smaller than 300 pixels. So that is it. And we set the text align to center. What does that one do? Text align is to align your text probably to the left, right, or center. In this case, we align our text to the center. That means all of them will come to the center. That's what we have done. Okay, it is time to talk about margin again. We can set margin of an element as we have it here. The first 30 pixels is for margin top, the second 0 is for margin right, the third 30 pixels is for margin bottom, and the last 0 is for margin left. If you want to remember this, you can just use treble, not in the re treble. I mean TRBL, treble. The T stands for top, R stands for right, B stands for bottom, and L stands for left. So we pronounce it as treble so that it will be easy to pronounce and remember. That is it. That is what we have done with margin. So we have set the margin and hooray! Yes, we've done it. At least this look a bit good in both mobile and desktop. You can see, although it's not perfect, but it looks great in both mobile and desktop. This is just designed to suit the experience of users on mobile phones, and we can still use it on the desktop despite the fact that it is tailored for phones. Then, okay, in the next lesson, you will learn how to optimize it for desktop or bigger screen. So stay connected. See you in the next lesson. Bye for now.